election, and lots of candidates merging and dropping out and being disqualified because they didn't make it into the top two. Thank goodness, though, a number of Republicans made it into the top two in the statewide races, and a lot of the political analysts are surprised. They didn't think that was going to happen. In the attorney general race, you have Xavier Becerra. His real name is Becerra, but he's trash. He needs to be taken out. Made it into the runoff, just barely, edging out another Democrat, Dave Jones. But on the Republican side, Judge Stephen Bailey thankfully made it into the runoff, and he joins me on the DeMaio Report. You're excited that you made it in the runoff, but this is a blue state. And while Xavier Becerra is a terrible attorney general, and we'll get into that in a minute, how do you think you can win in a blue state in the runoff?
Well, here's what happened in the primary. 40% of the vote went to Republican candidates. Myself, my opponent, Republican opponent, we piled up 40% of the vote. It's always been a fact in California that we Republicans are fighting over about 10% of the vote with the Democrats. And come November, we've got just an excellent opportunity with the gas tax on the ballot, with the proposition to make California safe again on the ballot. These are our issues. These are issues that resonate with Republicans, Democrats, and independents. And we'll be able to pick up that 10%. We expect, and there's no doubt in my mind that we're going to win in November, thanks to the work you've been doing, thanks to the work that the California district attorneys and law enforcement professionals all over the state have been doing to take California back.
I agree with you that 10% is certainly winnable if you run a perfect campaign, if you hit all the right issues. And this year, I think you should be able to hit the right issues. Let's talk about your opponent, Becerra. I thought no one could get worse after Kamala Harris was Attorney General because she was so bitterly partisan, and she was a bad lawyer. But I'm seeing Becerra take it to that next level, the deeper level of ineptitude. Let's go through some of the problems that he has.
Well, number one, he didn't practice law. He's never practiced law in the courts in California.
Isn't that a requirement? We had Eric Early on, who was one of the guys that ran against Becerra in the runoff, didn't make it out. But he filed a lawsuit challenging whether he's even qualified to be on the ballot and do the job. I don't think he's qualified.
Well, I don't think he's qualified either. We're going to have to see how the courts treat it. At this point, it may be too late. It may have been an issue that should have been brought up at the time of confirmation in January of 2017. I'm not sure how judges are going to, view it when you come in 18 months later and ask that the guy be declared disqualified.
They don't like taking people off the ballot.
Right. But the fact of the matter is, the Attorney General is the chief law officer, the chief law enforcement officer. You would expect, if you're going to be the chief law officer, that maybe you've been in a court of law in California as a lead attorney. The simple fact was that on the Republican side this year, we had two candidates who actually have practiced law in the state, in addition to myself, where, I've actually been a judge for 8.5 years in our state. The Democrats didn't put up anyone who was a practicing attorney. They didn't have anybody that would have been qualified to do a deposition. And Becerra is in exactly that boat. He was 26 years as an inactive lawyer in the state. He was spending all his time back in Washington being a politician. If you admire that, he's certainly qualified. But the fact of the matter, that doesn't make you qualified to be California Attorney General, and he's not.
All right, so how about the issues where he's constantly out there wasting money, suing Donald Trump, losing those lawsuits because he's a bad lawyer, he's just politically grandstanding. You've got, on top of that, the notion that he is supporting the sanctuary city laws that allow criminals to be re-released. He supported Prop 47, which is catch and release. It takes away law enforcement's ability to deal with burglars and drug dealers and gangbangers. Can we take those issues and really hammer the hell out of them? Because I think a lot of Democrats are public safety Democrats, the voters, not the politicians, and would be willing to cross party lines for you.
I believe that 100%. Sanctuary state is patently unconstitutional. Worse yet, it's not a sanctuary for anyone other than criminals. Prop 47 you mentioned. Prop 47 was what decriminalized property crimes in California. So up to $950, it's almost a free ride for the thieves. And it took away our power to, as judges, to compel people to get into treatment if they're a drug addict. I mean, the very policies that were being promoted by the Democrats and Jerry Brown and Xavier Becerra and Kamala Harris, they're unmitigated failures. And Californians, let's put it that way, voters in this state are outraged at what the politicians in Sacramento have done. We're simply going to take those issues. We're going to lay it out simply to the voters. And I think we're going to get significant numbers of Democrats coming across. But more importantly, we're going to get the independents come November. They're going to be voting for us. That's where the 10% comes. And, we ran between the Republican candidates that were running in this primary. We ran 20 points ahead of registration. If we can't put another 10% together, I don't know how you could possibly not do that. Well,
I'm going to certainly try to help you in every way possible. And I think if people got behind your campaign, there's a real credible shot to make you the winner in this statewide Republican in this statewide election, which would be the first Republican statewide elected official we've had in 15, 20 years. So let's get it done. What's your website, Stephen?
www.bailey, BAILEY, .com.
Bailey 4AG, like Attorney General, Bailey4AG.com.
And you can follow us on Instagram, on Twitter, and Facebook.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And you got my full endorsement. Let's go win this one.